What does a magician that has actual magic, a demon with a gambling problem, and superstar letterer Dave Lentz all have in common? Stick around to find out. Hey, how's it going? Hope you're having an awesome week. Got a review for you. This one's coming from a Kickstarter we recently backed. We don't actually have the physical copy of this, but we got the PDF. I read it and I was just like, yep, I gotta do a review on this. And that's Pocus Hocus Chapter 2. Now, I've already done a review for Pocus Hocus Chapter 1, which we'll leave a link down in the description for that. You know, if you want to go back and watch that one first and then come watch this. Or, if not, that's cool. You can just watch this one. Now, Pocus Hocus was written by Alan Dunford and Will Radford. Drawn by Brian Belando. Colored by Jason Smith. Lettered and designed by Dave Lentz, but that's not his actual connection to this story. I'll get to that later on in the review. And this was published by Bad Bug Media. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, I'm going to give you a few seconds, okay? Alright, here we go. So, Pocus Hocus Chapter 2 opens up, it feels like, just a few moments after the first book ended with the knock on the door from the demon. And it just, so there's not any confusion, I'm going to go ahead and call the demon Steve. I just like the name Steve for the demon, I don't know why. So Steve is sitting in Pocus's parlor, and he's talking to him, and he's like, so, I've fallen off the wagon. And Pocus says, yeah, I'm going to need you to elaborate on that. And the demon's like, well, there was certain financial opportunities and sacrifices had to be made. And Pocus is like, elaborate. And Steve's like, alright, I gambled. It cuts to Steve playing a game with other demons. It's some weird card game. I didn't really get it, but I don't think it's for anybody really to get. And, you know, he was sure he had this winning hand. He went all in, and he lost. And the demon he lost to goes through the pile of their winnings. And Steve bet all these contracts. Well, the contracts end up being blank. And all the other demons are like, why do we even invite him? He does this every time. And one of them jumps up and is like, you know what? Don't let him get away. Steve goes berserk on these demons. I mean, he rips one's arm off, sticks it through another one's head, gets one right through the back. I mean, total carnage. And Pocus is like, you killed all of them? Steve says, well, I kind of tend to go overboard sometimes. Pocus says, well, you know, if you think you're going to hide out here, and Demon's like, oh, no, I wouldn't dream of doing that to you, but you are going to help me. And Pocus is like, and why is that? And Steve says, Pocus, how long have we been friends? And Pocus is like, friends? Never. And Steve goes, hateful. But that's fine. Here's the plan. So what you're going to do is, every night at your little show, you're going to have a volunteer come up to the stage. And they're going to sign what they believe is a waiver that's actually a contract for their soul. You're going to have them step into this box, knock 3 times, and the box will drop them straight to hell, and I'll take care of the rest. And Pocus says, oh, what's going to happen to them? And Steve's like, they'll be possessed? Pocus says, possessed by what? and Steve's like, a demon? Are you not paying attention? I have a price on my head, and I need to pay it, soul for a soul. And Pocus is like, no, absolutely not. You're not dragging me into this. And Steve's like, mortal, I'm not asking you for a favor. Do you not understand what's at stake? Our fates are intertwined, and if I cease to exist, then so do you. And Pocus is like, touche. And the funniest thing about the interaction with the demon is he does this thing where he's super, I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm the boss here. I'm so evil. And then and then after Pocus like says touche, he immediately switches to, oh great, you have a blessed day and a pleasant rest of your night. Make sure you dress sharp. Don't drink too much there, pumpkin, because I need you sober for this. And he's like, and don't forget, you're on my time now. And he slams the door. We cut to Pocus going to his show, and this is where we meet Emily, his assistant, and just the cutest neon pink fluffball bunny named Horace. I mean, Horace is adorable. He's only in it for a few panels, but holy cow, he's adorable. I can't wait to see more of him. He gets ready for his show, and Emily happens to see these contracts laying on a table, and she's like, hey, what are these? And Pokes is like, never mind about those. We got a show to do. Let's get out there. So they walk out. They walk out on stage, and Steve has already delivered the box that he's going to be that Pocus is going to be putting these folks into. Emily's like, what is that thing? And Pocus is just like, my reckoning. Well, we get to the show, and Pocus is like, I need a volunteer from the audience. And there's a lady sitting in the audience, and she nudges who I believe is her husband. And she makes him raise his hand, and he gets up. Now, when I first read through this, I was like, man, this character, I don't know why, but he looks familiar. And later on, talking with one of the writers, Alan Dunford, he goes, oh yeah, that's Dave. And I was like, what? I said, I knew he looked familiar, so I went back and looked at the page again, and sure enough, I was like, if I was going to draw a 1700 to 1800s Dave Lentz, this is what he's going to look like. So that's Dave's connection with the book. He's actually in the book, and I thought that was awesome. He's the first volunteer. So he gets up on stage, and the contract is usually called the damned contract. Well, the contract part is crossed out and spelled horrifically wrong, is waiver. And it's W-A-Y-V-E-R. So he has Dave sign the waiver, puts him in the box, knocks 3 times, poof, Dave's gone. Pocus is like he's sitting there for a second, and he goes, I wonder how long this is supposed to take. And next thing you know, there's all these fireworks going off, and Dave appears, but you can clearly tell it's no longer Dave. He speaks, he says, hola, personas de carne. I mean, he's got demon teeth and everything, and the crowd just loves it. They go wild. So they get backstage, and Emily asks Pocus, I don't know how we did this new trick, but, the fans loved it. And Pocus, being his jaded self, is like, they'll love anything as long as it's got loud noises and flashing lights. Emily then asks Pocus, she goes, well, are you still going to teach me some magic tricks? And Pocus is like, not tonight. And Emily's like, we had a deal. If I was going to be your assistant, you were going to teach me some magic. And Pocus is like, well, deals were made to be broken. And he leaves. So Emily then says to Horace, well, I guess I'll just have to teach myself. So she kind of gets, performance ready. She's in the mirror putting on the makeup, tying back her hair. And she says to Horace, promise you won't tell? And we cut to a panel of this chest that says, Pocus's secret magic box don't open. So of course Emily picks the lock. And she pulls out this book, and when she opens it, the screen turns green. And there's like a ghostly, I don't want to say a demon, but like a ghostly entity just kind of swirls around. Now the cool thing about Pocus Hocus, just a little side note, is the book is kind of it's like done in black and white unless magic is around. When magic is around, that's where the colors are. That's why you'll see Steve is like this. I think it's pinkish purple kind of color, and Horace is this bright neon pink color. And why when she opens the book, it's green. Like it turns the panel green. After she does that, we cut back to Pocus's manor, and he's like throwing stuff at his butler Ivan. Now, something about Ivan, he's some kind of masochist, because I mean he seems to enjoy the fact that Pocus is drunk and throwing bottles and stuff at him, and Pocus is just like, I'm sick of it, Ivan. I'm sick of the fame. I'm sick of the demons. And Ivan's like, let it all out, Master Hocus. And Pocus is like, for the last time, Ivan, and here he uses his magic. He throws this brandy bottle at him, smashes against the wall. He goes, it's Pocus. And Ivan's just like, oh, please don't stop. We're just getting started. And I'm like, what? Like, and after he says that, then Pocus kind of like force chokes him. And this guy has the biggest harder daddy look on his face, like he wants to say that to him. And Pocus is like, I never wanted to hurt anyone. And he's like whispering under his breath, "But Sir hurt so good." It's hilarious. Like, I read the panel and I had to read it a couple times because I kept laughing. I was laughing so hard I couldn't read it. Super funny. But he's got him up in the air, and all of a sudden there's a bang on his door. So he drops Ivan, and Ivan's just like, oh, exquisite. And Pocus thinks that it's Steve, and he's like, man, what does the demon want now? And the banging on the door, it continues. He finally gets the door, he opens it, and his face just drops. And we find out it's not Steve, it's Emily. She found the contracts, and she says to Pocus, we need to talk. And that is where the issue ends. Man, I have so many good things to say about this. I love this issue. I've reread it I don't know how many times now. I will say this, there are some subjective flaws, nothing like super major. I mean, no comic is perfect. To me, these don't even bother me, but just things that I would point out personally. The first thing is, this book reads lightning fast. To me, that's not a bad thing. It means the story just draws you in so well. There are some panels where it's just the art, and the art is to kind of let the story breathe a little bit. But I mean, it's super fast. I read it and I was like, oh wow, I'm already done. It felt like it ended too soon, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't end soon. It's just that good. Now, like I said, for some, that's going to be like, okay, well, that's, it feels like it's over too quickly. Again, subjective, didn't bother me. The second thing is, Pocus doesn't really use any magic to like the last 2 to 3 pages. And again, for some people, they'll be like, well, it's a book about a guy who has actual magic, but he didn't use any magic. But for me, personally, the humor and the characters drove this issue's story. Like, it was really good. The magic at the end was just kind of like, little nice little chef's kiss at the end of it. So it didn't bother me, might bother some folks. Last and final thing, I wouldn't call this book a filler issue. I would say it's a very big setup issue. Some people might think, wow, this kind of just reads like, this is happening, but you really want to get book 3. For me, it was a great book that after I read it, I went back and read number 1 and then read number 2 right behind it. For some people, they're going to be like, well, it just kind of feels like a filler issue, but I don't think it is. I think it's a big setup issue, but there's a great enough story in just this issue alone, you can still enjoy it. Other than that, I loved it. Would I recommend getting this book? Absolutely. Absolutely. The next time that there is a Kickstarter for Pocus Hocus. I implore you, get on there and seriously consider backing this book. I think you're going to love it. It's such a good book. If you like what you saw in this video, make sure you stay to the end screen. Check out some of our suggested stuff. Give it a share, thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like. Leave us a comment down in the bottom. We always love the interaction. You have an awesome day, and I will catch you next time. Later, tots.